Welcome back to the second junior show of Midwesthockey.info. This is our second junior show. As I said, we've already done 3 pro shows. Welcome back, Trent.
Thanks for having me.
And today we're going to be talking about junior. Um, Mostly sticking with the overseas stuff again, just because there's a little bit more drama and excitement there with actual hockey games rather than talking about games coming up, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so let's start with the U18 select team that went to Slovakia / Czech Republic for the Ivan Holinka tournament. I did a story on it yesterday, Trent, and I said, how the U.S. did there depends if you're like a glass half empty or glass half full type of guy. I think, generally speaking, the team ended up finishing 5th. And they were kind of out of the medals really quick because they lost a couple of tough games to start out. So, I don't think a U.S. team is ever going to go over there and expect anything less than a medal. So I guess, from that perspective, it's disappointing, but they did rebound from a couple of really tough losses to start with 2 wins. So they won their last game, and they came out there with a 2-2 record after starting out 0-2. And I think that's something that you can take something out of.
Yeah, it's a big, it builds a lot of character to, after going down early, to come back and fight, even though you're really out of it.
Yeah.
And it shows moxie.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there, right? Like when you're down, you drop your first 2, you already know you're out of the medals. Pretty easy for you just to say, well, what's the point of even being here? And a lot of teams would, I think, but the team clearly turned things around. Now, obviously, Slovakia. So let's go through this a little bit, but they did start out with a 5-1 loss to Finland, and that's a little bit misleading in itself. They were down 4-0 after a period. So really one bad period kind of killed them in that game, and they were 5-1 at the end. Then they dropped a 5-2 decision to Russia in the second game, and that all basically killed their medal chances. They bounced back with a 7-3 win over Slovakia to finish up round robin play, and then won the 5th place game with a 4-3 win over Czech Republic. I have Slovakia right here, it was Czech Republic. So they clinched 5th place, and so I thought, like I said, I thought the bounce back was good. Czech Republic gave them a tough game, scored a late goal to make things pretty interesting, but the USA held on for 5th place. Standouts in the tournament for the USA. Now this is going into play today, so these guys might not have it at the end, but there is a couple of Americans who led the tournament in scoring, including Casey Middlestat from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, so a nice Midwestern flavor there. And Trent, the most excited people in the U.S. right now must be the students at Eden Prairie High School. He's going to go back and play high school this year, so
Yeah, wow.
that should be a nice little high school
Booster.
team. And now, high school hockey in Minnesota is played at a different level than most states that in the Midwest, but that's going to be, that already makes that team pretty powerful, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. To have that kind of star power on a high school team.
Yeah, that should be fantastic for them. He tied with Kaylor Yamamoto from Spokane, who ended up with 4 goals and 3 assists. Middlestat had 3 goals and 4 assists. And also Timmy Gettinger from North Olmsted, Ohio. He had 2 goals and 2 assists, I think. And he was a factor in almost every game, it seemed like. So he had a great run, and he's going to be playing with the Sioux Greyhounds in the OHL. So all in all, I think, it was a good showing. So a couple of guys that probably were eligible, I believe. They're all 98s, I think. So I got to think Austin Matthews was probably eligible to play. He's playing with the World Junior team, the U20 team. Same for other teams, I guess. Boone Jarvie wasn't there. But I don't know. I suppose, all things considered, not a bad run.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, yeah, whenever the U.S. is in an event, they expect a medal, but
Yeah.
it doesn't always work out that way. And to come back and compete, I think it shows
Yeah.
endurance.
And it is a tournament that the U.S. has done fairly well at in the past, so expectations, I think, are pretty high. Now the U17 USA team is also overseas right now. They're playing in Switzerland in what's called the Five Nations Cup. They are 2 games in. They opened with a 5-4 win against Czech Republic. A come-from-behind win. They were down 2-0, and I think they were down 3-2. Ended up coming back to win that one 5-4 with a late goal. Then yesterday, even closer, edged Slovakia 4-3 with an overtime winner. And again, they were down 2-0 early in this one. And I think they led late in the game, but yeah, ended up going to overtime to get that one. They are the only team of the 5 in the event that are undefeated. They're 2-0. I thought that I thought for a minute that maybe they were going to be having a big showdown at the end with Germany. Yesterday, they went into the day 2-0. Germany was 1-0, but Germany lost to Czech Republic 10-0 yesterday. So maybe they're not as strong as I thought. USA is going to play Switzerland. They're probably facing off right around now. They're going to play Switzerland today, the host team. They did play Switzerland in a sort of exhibition match before the tournament started and beat them 6-3. Different day, you never know, but certainly they know they can beat this team, and in Germany at the end. So a really good chance for USA to wrap up the best record in this event.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely exciting when you get a couple of barn burners in there, and
Oh yeah,
I mean that's just good hockey. But it nails home the long theory. You got to play 3 periods of hockey.
oh for sure, yeah. And they started slow in both these games.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how they react to that against Switzerland today. On one hand, you sure don't want to give a team a chance to get in front of you every game. But on the other hand, I think they might have played their 2 toughest opponents. But time will tell. I mean, it's not over yet. So let's move on from that then. We'll talk a little bit more about the 5 Nations thing, I'm sure, in our next junior show too. I'm sorry. A couple of the key players for the U17 team, I have them written here. I don't have stats, but I know these are the names that I've seen a little bit more of than some of the others, including Midwestern players. Ivan Lodnia from Novi, Michigan. I believe that's probably the way you pronounce it, Novi, or maybe Navi, Michigan. And Mick Mesner from just down the road from up here. He's a Madison, Wisconsin native. So those 2 have been key factors from the Midwest. And then Brandon McManus, who's actually from California. I know he had 2 goals yesterday. So some key players to note from that event. And again, hopefully we'll have some more names and stuff, next week when or with our next junior show when stats are all out and everything, so we can give you some actual names of players, which is obviously something more interesting. Finally, for junior, the men are finished and the women are going to take over now, Trent. Pretty big event in Lake Placid. Now, there's 2 teams, the U22 and the U18 from the USA versus Canada in a 3-game series. In women's hockey, if you followed it fairly close over the years, you know that there's 8 or 10 countries that are premier countries, I guess. But the key matches are always USA versus Canada. They're always usually playing for gold, and the players know each other, and they don't particularly like each other. They've had some heated matches in the past. So I'm actually looking forward to these games. They're all going to be on fast hockey, and I'm kind of looking forward to this little showdown, which is in Lake Placid. The U22 team is going to start it off on Wednesday, and then the U18 team will play Thursday, and they both play Saturday. I think U22 also plays Friday, and U18 will wrap up their event on Sunday. So I think those will be some nice heated competition. Get that rivalry started already for this year.
Yeah, they've developed a pretty good rivalry over the last couple of years,
yeah.
and it's become pretty heated and actually quite exciting, especially when a lot of people think of girl hockey. They think boring, no, not lack of physicality, but you watch these games and there's definitely
They're
some
playing physical.
physicality.
Yeah. No, you're right. Technically, the rules call for no checking, but I don't know what the refs are looking for in these games. But there's definitely some physical play, and I think they make the right call. They let them play their game, and they play each other so often that it makes the rivalry get even more and more intense. I think that it's great to play the other countries and everything, but if you really want to test your mettle, unless you're playing USA or Canada,
Yeah.
it's not really much of, it's not as big of a challenge, I guess. So let's move on to the actual junior leagues. And again, I can't really give a lot of names at this time, but I can. We're just looking forward to some dates and stuff like that. Most of the leagues at the Tier 3 level are either starting camp this weekend or within the very next few days. I know some of them even started late this past week. So most teams are in camp or going towards training camp as we speak. So literally hockey is back on ice. It's just a matter of which town has ice and which doesn't right now. I'm starting off with the NA3, the Tier 3 league, only because they're the first one back. They have regular season games, not exhibition, regular season games scheduled for Labor Day weekend. September 4th and 5th, Evansville Thunder is at St. Louis Junior Blues. And on the 5th, Worcester is at Southern Tier. And the Cincinnati Soars are at Pittsburgh to play the Vengeance. So it's game on for NA3. I mean, if they're not in camp and playing exhibition games in the next week or so, they might not be ready for the start of that season.
It's nice to see that we're so close that season is starting.
Yeah, that's why I think the junior one's a little bit more interesting right now, just because it really is on the fringe of the season. The pro show, we're talking about a lot of stuff, but we're still talking 2 months away for most of these guys. So they're still enjoying their summer, I guess. The USPHL, which is the sort of amalgamation of the Minnesota Junior Hockey League and the Midwest Junior Hockey League, they have formed a division in the USPHL, Midwest Division. We've talked about it a little bit in the past, Trent. They have 22 teams. 18 of the 22 teams will kick off their regular season on September 11th, which is the week after Labor Day. But there's several of them. We know with the local team, the Dells Ducks, they have exhibition games scheduled, I believe, as early as August 28th. So again, teams are back on ice and getting ready, and it's going to be interesting to see how this mix of these two leagues works out.
Yeah.
NA, the Tier 2 North American Hockey League, their first games will also be on the 11th. Wichita Falls is at Topeka. You asked me this last night, is Topeka in the Midwest? And my answer was yes. Kansas is one of the Midwest states. So they usually end up playing in different divisions than the teams up here. And that's the case with Topeka. But they get their season underway September 11th. And they have their annual showcase tournament the 23rd to 26th. I don't think you've ever been at that event, but that is a blast. Every team in the league plays 4 games, and it's all in this rink in Blaine, Minnesota. It's called the Schwann Super Rink.
Mm-hmm.
There's 6 ice sheets in there.
Nice.
It's an awesome place to watch hockey. So yeah, that's always exciting. It's held. It's going to be a week later than usual this year. So most of the teams will have a game under their belt, or a game or two under their belt. By the time they start that off. Staying with Tier 2, the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League, Sioux Eagles and Sioux Thunderbirds will kick off with a great cross-border rivalry series to start this regular season on the 11th and 12th. First game will be in Sault Ste. Marie, Canada, Ontario, I guess. Second game will be the following night in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, in the USA. And that, again, Trent, is a long-standing rivalry. The Eagles left for a while to play in the NA. They're back, and that rivalry is going to pick up right where it left off.
Yeah. Should be a good, heated rivalry there.
Oh, yeah. You never get, you never get as interesting or a game that more people care about than when you got Canada against the USA. Okay, so now let me move to page 4. The Superior International Hockey League, which is the Thunder Bay, Western Ontario area, they also have one team from Minnesota called the Iron Rangers. They just released their schedule, which is weird. They have a 5-team league. They're the last team to release their schedule, so I don't know what the complications were, but anyway, their first game is September 18th. The Iron Rangers will be at English River in Ontario. So again, that's a league that we're kind of following just because there is a Midwest presence, but just the one team, the Iron Rangers. Good luck to them.
Yeah.
In the Superior International Junior Hockey League. In the OHL, Flint and Saginaw, that's the Ontario Hockey League Major Junior. Flint and Saginaw, they're going to begin preseason play. September 4th, that's a long weekend again. Flint is at Saginaw, and that'll be the first game of their preseason. They have a couple others leading up to the start of the regular season in late September. And finally, the USHL, and this is really interesting, Trent. Some regional tournaments as part of their preseason. A couple of them that are pretty close for Wisconsin people. A couple that maybe not so close, but hopefully our other viewers will be able to get to them. Starting off on September 11th to 13th, Green Bay will be the host of a 3-day event that includes teams from Bloomington, Cedar Rapids, the host Gamblers, Madison, Muskegon, and the 2 USA teams, U17, U18. So that should be an interesting way. If you want a chance to watch 3 or 4 teams at once and sort of get an idea of what the USHL is all about, that's a great way to do it, if you ask me.
Yeah.
The following weekend, there's one at Waterloo. It'll have Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, Dubuque, Sioux City, and Waterloo. At the same time, Lincoln, Nebraska will have one. It has Fargo, Lincoln, Sioux Falls, Tri-City, and Omaha. The following day, Pittsburgh, which is not a team in the league, but they're going to have an interesting event with the 2 USA teams, Muskegon and Youngstown. And finally, one that you can go to, Trent, September 19th and 20th at Madison. Bloomington, Chicago, Green Bay, and Madison. So that should be some interesting games there. Like I said, just a way to preview the season and get the ball rolling.
Yeah. And I saw that at Madison's first couple games here, they're getting a couple deals rolling for the fans. Some game-worn jerseys.
Oh, nice.
A couple custom Harley-Davidson jerseys that they're going to be selling there. Yep.
Harley-Davidson jerseys. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about that is I think it would probably be orange and black, and that's Philadelphia Flyers colors. I know I'm wearing the hat, but I'm not a fan. So that's all I have. I think what we're probably going to do is try to do another junior show pretty quick. We might put the pro show on hiatus for a week or so. Just harder to come up with headlines, but clearly things are happening in junior, and you know, I'm hoping. I think it'd be nice if we had somebody that we could talk with, maybe a coach or something, whether it's over the phone or in person. So I'm going to work on that for our next show, Trent.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Yeah. So that's all I have for this week, and I'll let Trent take it home.
Stay classy, Midwest.